Hi everyone, it's Bob here from Beta Catalyst Consulting. Beta Catalyst is about enabling businesses to be the change that we want to see in the world. And who better to do that right now than plant-based businesses? Plant-based businesses create a high social impact, both for people, the planet, as well as the animals. So that's a key area of focus, both for small, medium and large, through consulting and speaking and business coaching. As the year comes to an end, we want to focus on what were the top highlights for the years, both in Australia, locally, as well as globally. Just before beginning, I wanted to thank the many businesses that I've been speaking to, many of them grassroots, who do it very difficult, starting from a conceptual idea to make it into something greater. The strength, the blood, sweat and tears that they've been going through, I praise them and thank you for all your efforts. Now, let's go back to the highlights for both Australia and around the world. So first, let's start locally. Top highlight for me in Australia is Nick Hazel, well done Nick, and V2 Food. So V2 Food launched as the first Australian large startup plant-based meat patty company with the view to be like the Beyond in America, with seed funding. So it was the brainchild of Nick Hazel, Jack Cohen, the founder of Hungry Jack's in Australia, who wanted a plant-based patty for Hungry Jack's. So it was a joint venture between himself as well as CSIRO, and they worked together, which is an Australian research arm, and Nick Hazel as well, who's ex-Mars. And the good news is that from a seed idea, they've attracted $35 million in seed funding, and they're looking for a space in Wodonga to open up a plant-based factory. That's massive news because it's showing the growth of the plant-based meat space. Number two is, I would say, ecosystem drivers. So what I mean by that is, I'd like to thank the Sydney Vegan Market and also Food Frontier. Most people are not aware that Sydney Vegan Market, which was founded by Vegan New South Wales, which is effectively the vegan society, started at the end of last year, and this year they've found a permanent venue. So what's the importance of that? Every month they hold a monthly event attracting 10 to 15,000 people. So every month there's a place for all people in the plant-based space and the vegan space, especially vegan. It's not just food, but it's also clothing and outreach and many different charities. But it's a place where businesses can go, people can go. But on top of that, it's actually enabled the sprouting of many businesses. So well done, Sydney Vegan Market. The other one is, of course, Thomas King and Food Frontier. Food Frontier is like a think tank to enable industry to adopt more cell-based and plant-based meats. And they collaborate with Good Food Institute in the US. I'll speak about that a little bit later. One of the reports that they created was a report with Deloitte where they identified that by 2030, if we all do things correctly, the plant-based meats would create nearly 6,000 jobs, or the verge of 6,000 jobs, direct jobs, and contribute like $3 billion to the economy. So that's something to look forward to. Number three is the VC fund. Blackbird Ventures, let me get that right, with Samantha Wong and the team behind that, have invested in plant-based meats. It's not Australia technically, it's New Zealand, but also in cell-based meats. So it's interesting for me, I've kind of foresaw that plant-based would attract social impact money, social impact funds, but because of the growth trajectory of plant-based and cell-based meat, VCs, venture capitalists, are driving to the change, and Grok Ventures as well, which is Mike Cannon-Brookes Atlassian, is involved with supporting plant-based and cell-based meats. So that's number three. Number four are companies which have started up using like tech startups. So one of those is Fable, which is Michael Fox from a tech space, who's now gone into a plant-based high-end meat with shiitake mushrooms. So now they've attracted $1.5 million in funding, and they're going to be presenting at the high-end restaurants like the Fat Duck with Blumenthal in the UK, as well as high-end restaurants in Sydney, and in Australia. So I think that's fantastic news. Other news similar to that is a product called Grounded, which is a cheese company. Both Fable and Grounded won Mars Seed Accelerator $40,000 worth of funding for that. And then on the cell-based side, we have Vow, which is a kangaroo plant-based, it's not plant-based, sorry, it's cell-based kangaroo meat, which is going to go, which is looking to get to the market. Now, all of these are with the view to eradicate animals in the farming industry, which I think is pretty good. And it's much needed for the ecology of things. Number 5, Coles and Woolworths. Well done to the major food outlets. They have now started, actually with the category management, allocating space and requesting food manufacturers to bring them plant-based meats, all different types of plant-based meats. So Woolworths, for example, has in the meat aisle beef, chicken, organic and plant-based. So this is the start of the change that we want to see in the world. I'm sure I've seen a few mistakes along the way, but it's still progress, right? So that's the top 5 for me in regards to plant-based and vegan and news in Australia. So these are the top highlights, both locally in Australia, which I've seen for 2019, and I'm hugely encouraged. I know there's a lot of sour news going around with the droughts in Australia and the destruction of our forests, and as well as the Amazon globally. But there's hope. There's hope that people are seeing that we could eat the same way, the way we used to, but with different food choices. And the sooner businesses adopt to the change, the sooner the world will be far more in equilibrium, and we can live in a way that's in more harmony with the earth. I look forward to speaking to you and connecting with you in 2020 if we haven't connected already, and let's make the change happen. Have a happy new year, everyone, and look forward to speaking to you in 2020.